Civets is an investing acronym for the countries of Colombia, Indonesia, Vietnam, Egypt, Turkey, and South Africa. Countries were thought to be the next generation of tiger economies because they shared fast-growing, relatively diverse economies as well as large populations that were younger than age 30. Hence, these countries showed great potential for high levels of growth and domestic consumption. Other positive aspects of this group include relative political stability, especially when compared to previous generations, a focus on higher education, reasonably sophisticated financial systems, and growing economic trends overall. Moreover, the Civets economies were generally dynamic without the dependence on the external demand or commodity exports that characterize some economically developing nations. They also had relatively low level of public debt as well as corporate and household debt. Colombia, once renowned as the world's capital of drug violence, has seen a significant decrease in violent crime in the reinvestment of its oil revenues and infrastructure projects. Textile and food processing have grown to become major industries alongside the traditional players of oil, chemicals, and mining. Indonesia is the world's fourth largest country by population and has attracted foreign investors by training and educating their workforce. Major industries include oil and gas, mining, textiles, fertilizer, and manufacturing. Vietnam's cheap labor has led to a foreign-led manufacturing boom, despite significant government regulations in what is still a nominally communist state. The majority of the country remains agricultural. Egypt. Current political turmoil has put Egypt's formerly steady economic growth at risk, but in the longer term, its key geographic location, oil and gas deposits, and projected growth in consumer spending should lead to economic growth. Turkey's strategic location between Europe and Asia and rapid recent growth placed it on the Civets list. As one of the more liquid of the six markets, it makes a good starting point for investors. It has diversified sources of growth, including services, mining, textiles, electronics, and pipelines that carry natural gas from Russia and Caspian Sea to Europe. South Africa. South Africa has allowed investors a path into Africa, which is mostly characterized by illiquid investment opportunities. Although a slow recovery from the global recession has led to some worries concerning future economic growth, increased global demand for gold has led to growth in the famed South African mining sector.
Why Civets countries are important to global market and economy. So, Civets countries in global economies would rise quickly during the coming decades. An emerging market economy is the economy of developing nation that is becoming more engaged with global markets as it grows. Countries classified as emerging market economies are those with some, but not all of the characteristics of a developed market. Characteristics of a developed markets may include strong economic growth, high per capita income, liquid equity and job markets, accessibility by foreign investors, and dependable regulatory system. As an emerging market economy develops, it typically becomes more integrated with the global economy. That means it can have increased liquidity in local debt and equity markets, increased trade volume and foreign direct investment. It can develop modern financial and regulatory institutions. Currently, some notable emerging market economies include Civets countries. Critically, an emerging markets economy is transitioning from a low-income, less developed, often pre-industrial economy towards a modern industrial economy with a higher standard of living. Our company is Arta Logistics SDN BHD. Arta Logistics, headquartered in Port Klang, Malaysia, is one of the leading international freight forwarding, project logistics, and total logistics delivering cost-effective solutions throughout Asia and worldwide. Arta Logistics developed comprehensive total logistics tailored to meet the specific requirements of customers. This is accomplished by learning customers' exact objectives and listening to their precise requirements, thus ensuring we provide quality services more consistently than any other service provider in the market.
Good day. This is for our project of the international business trade subject. So our company will use the joint venture strategy to enter Vietnamese market and logistic industry. Here's why. As the logistic industry in Vietnam become more liberalized, opportunities are opening for the new enterprise to cash in on a growing domestic and international demand for locally produced or manufactured products. At the same time, the country's export market is growing as an industrial structure, especially as a center of outsource of manufacturing. A growing number of companies are already shifting manufacturing from China to Vietnam, which of course may also a good news for our logistic operators, since the demand for warehousing and road transportation services will increase correspondingly. With the manufacturing growth, the current explosion of e-commerce in Vietnam should also present opportunities, especially for the companies interested in last mile delivery and value-added distribution services. With a very undeveloped logistic infrastructure and current high transportation cost base compared with the neighboring logistic countries, Vietnamese logistic venture can certainly be challenging, but offer an amazing for foreign logistic firm with the ability to invest and innovate. Domestic logistic competition is fierce and tough for local enterprises or startup wishing to profit. It might be a good idea to think for collaborating with a foreign company to take advantage of established capabilities along with the advanced intellectual physical resources.
Logistics challenges in Vietnam. Success with any business venture in Vietnam will depend upon the surmount logistic challenges. Some of the most important obstacles to overcome are as follows. First, custom procedures are inefficient and still largely involve slow manual process. Second, inconsistent cargo inspection processes at ports and airports. Third, congested highways linking industrial centers with the country's ports. Fourth, generally poor and unplanned transport infrastructure. Fifth, logistics costs are high, currently comprising around 20% of gross domestic product or GDP. 6. Logistic facilities, warehouse, and distribution centers are often situated in remote locations, far from ports and centers of manufacturers. Guidelines and recommendations. Here are some guidelines and recommendations to enter Vietnam logistics market via a joint venture. A joint venture is a business entity established with a partner. There are two main reasons to form a joint venture in Vietnam. The first is to create a mutually beneficial partnership between two parties. Another reason foreign investors set up this type of company is to comply with foreign ownership regulation in Vietnam. In business line that limit foreign ownership, you will need a local partner. Because of these challenges, it is better to do a joint venture before jumping directly into Vietnamese logistic industry. One reason is foreign company in line with logistics cannot operate 100%, needs to have a local partner. Talk to a logistics investment company like Logistics Bureau that can help us with the process and make sure we can get a new operation established in Vietnam. To start, we need to assess local or domestic companies that we can collaborate with. Tip number 1. Always carry out a proper background check. Tip number 2. Check the company's article of associations. Tip number 3. Prepare a cooperation agreement. And last, after we talk and assess the logistics, investment company, and then we can start our venture with Vietnam.